gotta make it out to Vegas, where the lights shine bright. Vegas, in the clear desert night. Vegas, where they can make you a star. Vegas, at the NFR.
NFR Extra is a podcast dedicated to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo and features icons and personalities that embody the Western lifestyle.
Well, you know, I'd never been to a rodeo before in my life.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'd been around some fairs and all that, but I came out here and I stayed in touch with my old boys back at ESPN Regional. And they asked me, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm working Las Vegas events, work on a couple college tournaments and something called the National Finals Rodeo. And, you know, they Googled it, looked it up. They kept wanting a picture of me with my boots and my hat. I felt like Woody from Toy Story. And Western lifestyle is at an all-time high.
This is pro rodeo announcer Andy Seiler, and you are listening to NFR Extra.
It is the boss, the president of Las Vegas Events, our good friend, Mr. Tim Keener, joining us today. Tim, always a pleasure.
Well, thanks. Glad to be here and walk by this office a lot. You finally had had a few cancellations or whatever.
No, we roped you.
Happy to be here and excited to spend some time with you.
I do feel like we need some like presidential or, governor's music underneath. Like it reminds me of Blazing Saddles. Dun, 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 dun. But anyway.
A little John Denver and Country Roads.
There you go. Now, that's a perfect segue. So you got your master's from West Virginia. So tell us.
West by God, Virginia.
Oh, my apologies. Okay. So I've had the pleasure of going to West Virginia, but Steve's never been there. So tell us a little bit about WVU.
Well, I get home once or twice a year, and it's great to be back. And it's a slower pace. Growing up there and going to WU, it's great to be home when you travel and visit, and you go home and see old classmates. And when I travel into town, small Catholic high school, 70 classmates, and if I come into town and schedule it right, there'll be 20 of us getting together.
Oh, that's
cool. And we're just like we're back in high school.
Yeah.
So I forget the stories when they tell me stories. I claim amnesia. Thank God there's no social media back then and all, but they tell a lot of stories, and I'm like, that didn't happen.
No.
When three of them tell me it did, I'm like, well, you guys are just getting old.
This is a conspiracy is
That's
what
right.
this is.
I'm going back to Las Vegas.
Yeah. What? That's kind of a big jaunt from, was it West by God, Virginia?
There we go.
To Las Vegas. What was the journey? How'd you get from there to here?
Well, after West Virginia graduated, and I went back to hometown of Charleston, West Virginia, and believe it or not, was a auditor.
Oh.
Yeah, I worked for a public service company, and we audited utility companies. And tell you what, you remember that movie with Tom Hanks, Joe versus the Volcano?
Yeah,
or whatever?
yeah.
I'd go into that office every day, and if there was a volcano right outside, I would have went up and jumped in it.
Oh my gosh.
But no, I finally.
So that wasn't your passion.
No, it wasn't. Thank God for auditors all over. They're important. But then I started working for a little small athletic conference in town, grading referee scores and all that. And it started, I want to do something like this.
Yeah.
And eventually I went back a few years later and went up and got a sport management degree from West Virginia, and ended up going down to Charlotte for an internship with Raycom Sports. And at the time they were doing ACC basketball, and that was back just at the beginning of college basketball being televised. So
really?
The ACC tournament there was the gold standard at the time.
Sure.
And spent some time there, and then another company in town, and Creative Sports. And then Creative Sports was bought out by ESPN Bristol, and we were the regional office, and we started televising, all the NASCAR racing and all. And then I was in the events division and started going all over the country to produce basketball and football games. And Las Vegas was kind of the hub that they kept sending me to, because the way we looked at it was, for a person to go to a destination like Las Vegas, and whether it was a football game, basketball, golf, whatever, you still, if you're the same person coming in, you knew the hotel people, you knew the venue people, and all that. So they started sending you to the same location. I got lucky, and I was the Las Vegas person that got to go, and that's where I connected up with Pat and worked on events at the Thomas and Mack for years. And then, that's moving up to 98, 99. And then Pat came over here to Las Vegas events in 2001, and he started, and I was his first hire. A week after he started, he had a board meeting, and he was looking for an operations person, and I was did my time at ESPN and tired of traveling. And so that's kind of how I ended up in August of 01. And then, things turned crazy in September of 01.
You're right.
Yeah, a month into the job, we're sitting here in a boardroom right down the hall here, and just didn't know what was, it was just crazy time back then.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to jump back into where you were in that time frame, because, the ACC at the time, you had Mike Krzyzewski and Florida State football. I mean, there were some huge programs that, you were a part of and around, and it was a great time for growth, not just for the conference, but for television as well.
Oh, yeah. I worked on the ACC basketball tournament, and the coaches, Coach K, Dean Smith, Valvano, Bobby Cremens. I could go on, and it was a grand time. Georgia Tech was tough then. State was. I remember one time I was doing a golf tournament to promote the ACC tournament, and we had everybody in their carts except Valvano. And Valvano's in the restroom, and he's creaming his hair. And I'm like, Coach, we're 5 minutes late. And he's like, I'll be ready. And when I'm ready, I'm ready. And he does a couple other things, and he makes his grand entrance out, and 140 sponsors and other coaches are waiting on, Jimmy V to come out, but that's just the way.
Yeah.
That's the way he was.
Awesome.
Dean was all pissed off. And,
Yeah.
Of course he was.
Yeah. And Coach K, they really developed a great relationship later on, but he didn't care.
Yeah. 5 minutes late, got another 10.
Yeah. But no, the ACC at the time, it was the basketball with all the great stars that were coming through. That was the hardest ticket in town. And when a team would lose during one of the early round games, late in the game, fans from Duke and Carolina would go over into that section and be holding. You would sell your tickets the rest of the tournament right there. That was back before secondary market and all that. Secondary market was kind of created at ACC basketball tournaments, because if you were a Wake Forest fan and you lost on opening round, you had your book of tickets there, and you were taking care of business.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And now we try to shut that down.
That's right.
Yeah. So 2001, and I don't want to get too far, into the weeds on a negative side, but, for Andy and I, we get to fly in and everything's already set up. All the hard work is already done. The amount of events throughout the year that Las Vegas puts on is impressive, but also there's been a lot of tragedy that has taken place. Obviously when you have a city and that many people come in, and you were talking about, started in August and then September 11 happened here. So it's like when you are hosting something to build confidence for people to come to, that has got to be a huge part of rebuilding that for people to come back in.
Yeah. Anytime you do an event, unfortunately we had a situation a year or so back, and you got a plan. We had a plan, but we didn't have a plan that extensive. But, anytime you do an event, we had the 2020 World Cup equestrian event. We got right up till early March.
Yeah.
And that's when the world shut down.
Yeah.
And we had a horse plane over in Europe that had 50 horses coming over. And fortunately, the plane didn't get in the air, because if it got in the air, that would have cost LV another $1 million, because FedExing those horses not cheap, but
Right.
they would have had to land and turn around and go back. But anytime you do an event, you just take into account. We do a fireworks show on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And knock on wood, we've never had a cancellation. But Mother Nature, you just never you deal with her. She's gonna get you one of these times. But
Yeah.
contingency processes are something we all plan for. I know Rylan here with the junior world finals from last year. You got to have backup plans and
Right.
contingencies for weather and stuff like that.
Right. How big of a transition was that? Going from the sports to all of a sudden now rodeos on your plate.
Well, I'd never been to a rodeo before in my life.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I've been around some fairs and all that, but I came out here and I stayed in touch with my old boys back at ESPN Regional. And they asked me, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm working Las Vegas events. We work on a couple college tournaments and something called the National Finals Rodeo. And, they Googled it, looked it up. They kept wanting a picture of me with my boots and my hat. I felt like Woody from Toy Story. And
You got a friend in me.
me, yeah. And, I still to this day, what the contestants do on a daily basis is just amazing. They are as much athletic and competitors as any sport out there. And you just watch them after 10 days of the rough stock guys just getting beat
brutal.
up, and they go back to Justin Sports Medicine Room and get fixed up, taped up, and they're back out there the next day. So I've really learned to appreciate, what these athletes do. And, it's really amazing.
So your first rodeo was the NFR.
Yeah, it was. And it's tough it's kind of like in a golf tournament going to the Masters.
Exactly.
And it didn't take long that first year. And every year I learn. I still learn this year from everybody here. Alan Reinheimer, Sean Davis, I work with him closely. Every day I learn new things about it. It's more the competitive side and the rules and stuff like that, I leave those to the experts because, I let them do what they do best. But the complexities of the ground rules and everything that goes into that, and they discuss a change of a ground rule in the book coming up. And sometimes I ask Alan, you got to give me West Virginia 101. What does that, And then he explains it and I understand it. But, that's how detailed those rules are. And they're important so that the contestants know and the referees, the judges, they all know kind of what the playing field is.
Well, I love that his first first rodeo is the NFR because when you get to see our sport through someone else's eyes, it is so refreshing. Because in 2023, my brother-in-law came, and so his first rodeo was the 9th round of the NFR, and I'm like, you do realize this is like your first baseball ticket being at the World Series at Yankee Stadium. I mean, this is what you're doing. So everywhere else, or most places you go, are probably going to be a disappointment.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I'm not going to mention the rodeos, but after December of 2001, in the spring, we went to visit a couple rodeos, maybe a NFRC meeting here and there, but it was night and day.
Right? Yeah.
Even the big rodeos that we've attended, the big 4 or 6, they're awesome rodeos, but, to be able to attend the NFR I see why the fans are as passionate they are. We got the greatest fans out there, sponsors as well. They love the sport, and the 10 days of competition here. It's a great time to be in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Well, and Tim, you were talking, about what you see on how difficult it is for the contestants, for, the rough stock guys, for what they do, for the timed event contestants, the horses, everything they've got to take care of. You've got the rules. And the reason all those things are important is because there is now a substantial amount of money on the line. And in the 24 years that you've been a part of this, that money has gone out the roof.
Oh, it has.
And that's Las Vegas events that has been kind of driving that wagon, right?
Yeah. Well, we're part of the COG. I mean, the LVCVA here locally is a big sponsor as well. But just the go-round money from back in 2001, 2, 3, the total purse to what it is. I mean, we just signed a 12-year extension. This past year was the first year, and the money starts out from nearly $15 million to, at the end of the contract, almost $28 million. So
Wow.
It's a big time for the contestants and the stock contractors,
Yeah.
and they deserve it. I mean, you look
Right.
at the full houses and at Thomas and Mack every night. The rodeo will sell out in mid-April, and then we put a few tickets on sale in the fall for the non-season ticket renewals. But we got a wait list. The sponsors at Cowboy Christmas and NFR, our team here does a great job with Bo and Brylan and Alexia, and the interest is Western lifestyle is at an all-time high.
Right.
And I got to give a shout out to our late great friend Patrick Gotch. He had a lot to do with that. He became a dear friend of ours here at LVE, and many of us had him on speed dial, and he'd come into town for his monthly haircut, or how often he did that, and call and want lunch with Bo or whoever it may be. But getting all rodeos on a channel like the Cowboy Channel was it's key to the growth. And
100%.
And now with Teton taking over with Deidre and her team, they're just going to take it probably to another level.
Yeah.
Patrick got it started, and we're all thankful for the groundwork he laid for us.
Yeah.
We've been talking to different properties too, and the viewing experience that you get, not just inside the arena and the fan experience, but these watch parties have revolutionized this type of event, because outside of maybe Super Bowl parties and things like that, it's hard to really tell people that have never been here before what it's like when you go to some of these different properties and see just how catered to the fans are when you get the true NFR experience.
Yeah, you could go to a number. We have 28 viewing parties, and every hotel does a really bang-up job. And the better job you do, you're getting 500 to 1,000 people maybe or more in some of these viewing parties. And it's the experience. You got all the large screens. You got the in-house announcers. So
Yep.
You're listening to our great announcing team, the drinks and the beverages and all that. And you could come here to Las Vegas, and if you're listening out there and you don't have a ticket, come to town, because
Right.
you can get a ticket to the NFR through our access only program and all that. But a viewing party, you will not, go disappointed with any of these viewing parties here.
No, 100%. And that's what's, the crazy part is you can come to Vegas and you're not going to get the experience, inside the Thomas and Mack with, what that energy is like. But it's not far off. You go to the viewing parties, and like you said, you got 1,500, 2,000 people at one of these parties, and they give away merchandise, they give away swag, they give away all kinds of great things. There's a lot of energy in those too.
Yeah, and think about some of the parties have contestants, athletes, I say, show up afterwards.
Right.
No other sport will LeBron James compete
Right.
and then maybe go to a viewing party or something afterwards. Our athletes are kind of scattered, and a lot of them show up at these viewing parties. They're sponsored through the hotels, and think of that. I mean, the connectivity of these athletes to these fans, and so there's a big plus there too.
Let's take a quick pause, and we'll be right back. For 4 decades, the National Finals Rodeo has called Las Vegas home. The city transforms annually to honor the Western lifestyle. We know this as the NFR experience. We celebrate great champions and iconic moments while creating lasting memories, and more are on the way. We invite you to join us in Vegas for the celebration. The December tradition continues for the 40th year in Las Vegas, the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo.
Well, I know it was controversial when you guys made the move, but moving the rodeo up an hour to me was so smart, because I always try to look at certain experiences through the eyes of my wife, because my wife is from town. Like, she didn't grow up in a rodeo family. So if she's going to come out here, if she were to go to the rodeo one night, see a show one night, and go to a concert another night, the rodeo's start time, to me, being moved up, it still means you have time to go to dinner. You have time to do other things. And I thought that was so smart whenever you guys did that.
Yeah, well, I mean, when Pat was here and dealing with Patrick, moving that up, kind of helped to allow for some TV breaks and stuff like that. So we want to help support those guys as well. But moving it up, like you said, allowed people to get back, and you can plan your show, you can plan your dinner, you can do a lot of things. And the hotel operators here, they love the fans going to the Thompson Mack, but we got that shuttle program, the NFR Express, and you want to get them back to the hotels as soon as possible. So we're our team here does a great job on that, and 40% of our fans ride the shuttles and the Uber and Lyft and all that. So getting back to hotels are important with all the other activities. The 9 to 5 and the after dark programs are going on. You won't be bored coming to town. There's handfuls of gift shows and all the participatory sports that events that Chris Woodruff and his team put on, and the South Point folks with the
World Series of Team Roping.
World Series of Team Roping. Thank you, B. And the WPRA Breakaway Final. So there's events everywhere, plus the event that our team here, Brylan heads up, the now junior NFR. 10 years coming up, and it started out as the junior NFR, and then we kind of went our ways with for whatever reasons, and became our new brand of Junior World Finals. And Tom Glaus and I were up at Puyallup last year, and a couple of the contestants were in the chutes, and Wayne Brooks mentioned, so-and-so was Junior World Finals champion from last year. And after about 2 or 3 announcements like that, Tom kind of pokes me and says, we got to do something about that. And I'm like, we want the name. And so Tom and I, it was real easy we want to, Bo and Brylan, the whole group here, do so much to promote junior rodeo. And Shad Mayfield, I think, is our first all-round champion. He came up through the ranks as well, and we got at least one more, right, Riley?
Riley Webb. That's right.
Yeah, so it's kind of like competing at Williamsport, Little League World Series, and you go on and make the big leagues and play in the big show and all that. But that's pretty cool when you think of coming up through the ranks and winning a championship at the convention center, and then a couple years later, winning the all-round.
Right.
Way cool.
Yeah, that was
kudos
insane.
to you guys.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because Cotton Rosser, the late great Cotton Rosser, got me involved for announcing because at the junior NFR at the time, and we were having this discussion last night of how it started. Was we want something for fans to be able to come and watch throughout their shopping experience at Cowboy Christmas. And Bo Gardner was telling, man, I'd love to have a junior NFR. I want barrel racing. I want tie down roping, the whole thing. And I'm in my mind, I'm like, this sounds like a disaster. I mean, logistically, the whole entire thing, and what that has grown into. And you've got 5 days of timed events. You have 5 days of rough stock. You balance that out, and the crew that puts up the arena, and Brylan and her entire team, it's absolutely staggering. And then to see these kids, and what's crazy is, Cash Rob. You look at the amount of money that is available for these kids. I mean, they can walk away. I think Cash Rob, when he won 3 saddles, pretty much everything. And I think he had like $20,000, something like that.
$38,000.
Yeah,
That's unbelievable.
At this deal, so it's not you're getting a feed bucket and a Wrangler coupon.
Yep.
You're getting some and scholarships. The amount of colleges that get behind these kids, it's impressive, and it's the platform for that next step.
Yeah, we like to feel like we're right at the forefront of junior rodeo, and that's Bo and Brylan, and I think the PRCA and Tom Glaus, they see that, and anything we could do to help promote, junior rodeo, we'll do. And all the producers that we work with, they do a great job year round on the qualifying events that lead the contestants to Vegas. So it's a big, well-oiled machine out there.
Yeah.
So what was the biggest surprise to you? What was something that you felt like whenever you really started digging your hands down in the dirt? Because like for me, it was always bringing in the dirt into the Thomas & Mack. Like I love watching those time lapses because people don't realize how much time, energy, and effort it takes just to transform a basketball arena into a rodeo arena. So was there something that was surprising to you whenever you moved into this spot?
Wearing my cowboy hat, leaning over, and it's amazing how many things I hit. And then I had hat burn. You know, so I'm just being, you know,
I love it.
I'm just being upfront and walking in my boots. I'm a concrete cowboy, and that's why I respect everybody that in the Western world for what they do, and I just have the utmost respect. But yeah, just becoming that 10-day cowboy, and you got to walk the right way. And Bo's my fashion guy. He goes, your jeans aren't starched enough.
Your handler.
Yeah, he's my handler. And Bo's jeans are starched so much, he takes them
so.
off at night, leans them against the wall.
Yeah.
You know,
Year round.
Year round. But no, all that, the first year, I remember having Levi's, and that was the jeans I had. And Steve Rumpus at the time, he saw, I don't know why he was looking at the back of my pants, but he comes up and says, "Hey, you're wearing the wrong pants." I go, "That's all I got." And the next day I had 4 or 5 pair of Wrangler, and Jeff Chadwick in the group.
Yeah.
What else you need? And all that. But no, just the at the rodeo, you watch that. The grand entry is still my most favorite part of the rodeo.
Oh.
I mean, I'm a college football guy, and I've been to Clemson, and you watch the run down the hill and all the great entrances and exits at West Virginia after we win a game. Whenever we do, we play country roads. And by the way, it was played at the Super Bowl. You saw that coming out of commercial.
Yeah.
You know, it's just awesome. But the grand entry, just seeing the pageantry of that, and being there on Wednesday before the rodeo starts and watching them practice. There's a lot of wrecks.
Oh yeah.
You know, when the first time contestants, they don't know what they're doing, and they 2 or 3 trips at that, and they finally get it right. But I can't imagine, you know, what it's like to ride on it. But first year I went up the top of the tunnel at the end of the grand entry. I missed it one night. Somebody said, "Come follow me." I go up the top of the tunnel and standing against the wall. And when they exited and came up, it was like a freight train coming up. And, you know, it was unbelievable how exciting it was. And I'm like, if my ESPN boys could see me now.
Yeah.
I'm like, my hat flew off. And all, you know, it just
Pressed up against the wall.
Pressed up against the wall. And Cowboys contestants were coming by. And it was pretty cool.
No, I love that. Because
Some guy on a mule.
Yeah. That's the funny thing, though, is each night those horses get stronger and stronger. And while the fans don't maybe see it, but if you're down there on round 8, 9, or 10, and those horses are coming up that alley, like the power beneath their feet and holding them back from running, it is something different.
It is. It's fun to see them all introduced that way. And honestly, growing up, one of the other sports memories I have, and one of the reasons I wanted to be an announcer, is when WGN used to feature all those Bulls games. And when they would do the starting lineup and you hear 6'6" from North Carolina, Michael Jordan. I mean, it still gets me jacked up just thinking about it. You know, so those sports memories are things that you take with you a long time.
Yeah, they do. They do. You get on YouTube and look up some old videos that you like to watch, and a lot of them are the entrances or the winning plays or the victory songs at the end. Like, I still remember switching to baseball when the Yankees and Mets played in the World Series, and I think it was Strawberry. I think they won. It was 86 maybe.
Yes, sir. That's about right. Yeah.
When they won the World Series, I may have my recollection wrong, but I feel like they played Sinatra, New York, New York. And that's kind of the Yankees song. Yeah. But when they wrapped it up, you know what, that was against Boston. I take that back. It's 86 against Boston. And then they play that song, just things like that. I'll watch that video every once in a while, and it's just, you know, makes you feel young again.
Yes, sir.
You go back and remember those things.
Yeah, that is cool. I couldn't help but think when you were talking about I got to go back when you were talking about the Levi's and the Wranglers, that we weren't in the 70s where we all had to wear polyester pants, because I mean that would put a cowboy hat in a
pantsuit
rear second. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Not just that, but the friction that polyester pants cause. Like, I'm surprised there's not more fires started from people wearing polyester pants, but
you got to be tough. Sorry, I've been holding on to that one.
Yeah. No, this past rodeo, our ticket company, I'm not going to name the ticket company or the person, but a guy came in from New York, and he worked the 10 days. And the last day he came up to the suite, and he had a 3-piece suit on. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" I said, "You're going to, you know," and I was just busting his chops a little bit on that. We put him in the corner and gave him a drink, and like, "Don't move."
Yeah.
You know,
don't wander.
I call him Suit now. And if he hears this, he'll know I'm talking about him, but we had a follow-up meeting, and he had a hat, he had a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself, 2001, this cat from New York, he's got a hat on, and of course he's wearing it a little bit wrong, it's tilted, but
backwards.
I wasn't about to, I go to Bo, and I'm like, I have to get shaped, and or we're going to Colorado Springs, and I know straw in the summer now, I know some things like that. So, and B, my wife Bridget checks with her on things and stuff like that. So I'm smart enough to know to ask the people that know what they're talking about, and we have a great group here. We mentioned Bo and Brylan, just the whole team here. They're so passionate about working on the rodeo. We're going to start critiquing, and while it's a great rodeo behind the scenes, we come up with 500 or 600 comments that we all accumulate. We're very hard on ourselves, and we want to come up with, if there's issues that we saw that the Joe fan may not have seen, we're going to come up with 4 or 5 things in each area that we're going to try to improve on. And when we have this meeting, you just check your ego at the door, because other departments can make comments, and they can leave them quiet if they want. But we've learned, for the most part, to take the constructive criticism, because we want to improve each rodeo every year in the fall. That traffic's an issue, and we get a lot of comments on traffic, and I wish there was that magic answer for that, and most of it's ride the shuttle and all that, but then it's just tough. But all the great things that they do down at Cowboy Christmas, there's tons of comments there, and we improve on them, and they do such a good job. It's so crowded down there, and that's compliments to you guys, but it's tough to move from 11 to 1-ish, but go up to the go outside of the junior NFR and watch a little rodeo during that busy time. But that's just kudos to all the vendors and everybody that works on the show and all that, how successful that show is. And there's 4 or 5 other gift shows in town. So you got your choice of options around town. And if you're a gentleman listening and your wife's taking you, every one of these gift shows have a watering hole. So,
some of them have take-home cups.
They take-home cups, but you talk your wife into going to Cowboy Christmas and the Cowboy Channel Cowboy Christmas, I hope, and make your way out to the junior NFR and have your wife come find you. But you're taking a chance because she's in there shopping on your card.
Well, the term that comes to mind whenever I think about working with LVE is first class, and that's what you guys are, and we appreciate everything that you do for our sport and the cowboy way of life. So Tim, keep up the good work.
Well, thank you, but it takes a village here, and we got, you're only strong your weakest link, and we got a great team here, and you just know that we're going to work throughout the spring and summer to improve those comments from the year before. And you may not see these changes, but know that
they're taken in
we don't take for granted that we don't rest on our laurels, but it's kudos to the whole staff here. And, it's a great group.
I got to thank Jessica Peace too, because that's one name of a young lady that helps us out a lot too. Is Miss Jessica? She does a great job. It's an incredible group. And Brylan, she started at 17 years old.
Yes.
I mean, up there and coming from a rodeo background, so it's definitely, you've got a lot of really intricate people in the right spots. It makes this whole thing turn.
It does. I mean, Rylan had like 2 degrees by the time she was 17 or something like that. So
Same year.
I mean, now she's 19. So
she's 19.
She's
no, the whole team. I don't want to leave anybody out, but to start naming people, I will. But just the whole group's very passionate, and they care about the rodeo and every other event we do. They're just as passionate on the fireworks show and the tap cycling event we do. They're passionate. They buy into whatever the event is, but rodeos, their number one bread and butter, and they just live for it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be more proud of the team here.
Well, thank you for carving out the time and being with us today, Tim.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Want to experience more of the NFR? Then visit NFRexperience.com. And we invite you to subscribe to NFR Extra on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you're listening right now. If you like what you've heard on NFR Extra, we would love it if you gave us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe.